give anyone a hard time, you know. There's little bouts of shame on you and whatnot. I don't know what spurs that on, but it's I don't know. I don't know legally if anything this has ever been tested, you know. So.
John, let's start again. What?
Yeah.
Firstly, can you explain what is actually going on here?
Well, what's going on here? I think this is an anti-lockdown protest, but there's a mix going on. So I've recognised a lot of people from the anti-child abuse forums here. Okay. There's a hell of a lot of them there. There's a few people over there were anti-vaccines. Vaccines. There's a guy called Amir that over there. He's going on about the 5G, the vaccines, and how it's all linked in. He's very pro David Icke. So we're getting that. But I just think this is a lot of good people coming together. Hello, my friend. Coming together, really to sort of exercise their democratic right to protest. You know, so I think it's been a success. And there's a mix of people. So you know, the lady we're speaking to was an elderly lady. We got young people here. We've got the 5G group. Kevin Green and his team are here somewhere. I don't know. There's been a bit of confusion as to where. Right, I'll just take this 1 second. I'll just take this and tell my man where we are. Martin. Where the main group is in the park. Right, so sorry about that, the phone goes, we're going live within a live. But what we've got is just all groups sort of merging together. And it's nice because the poignancy for me being here, this was meant to be the day of our protest.
That's what I was going to
our
ask.
anti-child abuse. I don't agree with the lockdown. I don't see why healthy people should be kept in. If there is a virus, I don't know anyone who's caught it. I was told of one guy who died of it that I knew, but when I spoke to his brother, he said he had a heart attack. Yeah. See you later, chaps. And you, see you later. Thank you so much. And then if you speak to anyone, they say they know someone who's died, and they're usually 80 years old. And we've been in the hospitals, we've had a look. We went into St Thomas's about a month ago, it was empty. My son went in for a broken toe the other day, he was seen in 10 minutes. So the hospitals are pretty much empty. I mean, road deaths are going to be down because there's no one on the road. You know, so I don't know. Look, I don't believe the government anymore. I work for the government, and when I saw what they're capable of doing, nothing surprises me. I'm not anti-police, not at all. We've got a good police force. I'd rather police by the people in this country than in Spain, for example, or Italy, where they've got paramilitary police. Yeah. Where in Spain, if you look how compliant they've been on the lockdown, because they're panicking, because their police will batter them into submission.
So what do you think? Why is everyone fearful? Apart from media?
Well, I just think it has just been so instilled in people. What they've done is they've taken the insecurity straight into people's homes. Yeah. So they've said, this will affect you, this will affect your children. There's people that have lost their businesses because of this lockdown, you know, and then they'll blame the likes of me, the likes of you for going out. We're not their enemy. You know, we never caused this. This, for me, has taken the focus away from the child abuse. Before this went on, we was at a crescendo in the UK and globally because paedophiles were being exposed at the highest possible level in our monarchy, in our political forum, in our establishment. We had our protest was getting so much attention, and it was bringing so many groups together that have fallen foul of just this corrupt system which is attacking our children. If you attack the children, then you attack humanity. There are third world countries would never treat the children how our authorities treat our children here. How dare we ever point our fingers at these countries and say that they are backwards, you know, which is the British way. We do tend to look down on them. It is a money-making machine, child abuse. From cradle to grave, children will make money. Nothing is done to put it right. And when we see interviews like Darren, who gave the interview yesterday, Darren, there was a guy called Darren who was Bri! He's just doing a live here. Darren was a guy Darren was a guy that was put into the care system for absconding from school because he was being raped in school by a teacher. He went to speak out, he was silenced in a court case, placed in an approved school. The approved school was a menagerie for paedophilia. It was an organised sort of, I don't know, well, it was brothel really, of young boys and young girls from families where their parents were dysfunctional, not coming from them. These kids were not only raped by visitors that were brought in and were fee paying, they were taken to woods, and a form of Hunger Games was then met out, where they were stripped naked, made to run. They were then caught, they were whipped by very, very wealthy posh people, and then they were buggered in a big orgy, a big sort of sodomite orgy in the middle. Young kids that needed assistance and all that. And do you know the sad thing about this? One of Darren's abuser was the magistrate who put him there. Whenever he got a visitor, he was grabbed by the throat by staff and told, if you speak out, we will kill your mother, we will kill your father. And when he left, he was given a probation officer. The probation officer was another one of his abusers. And then there was a member high up in the British establishment that was abusing him. Legally, we can't name this guy. Bishop Peter Ball, that was head second in charge of the Anglican Protestant Church in the UK, who is a convicted paedophile and was best friend to Prince Charles. He was there abusing him, and so was Lord Bath. And Lord Bath was also named on a list of active Satanists. So, and these are all working together, these people, you know. And so this guy then went into a life of criminality, and of course, where did it all come from? It all come from the fact that he come from a terribly dysfunctional family, and he was picked on by this mafia of just paedophiles, really. But his story is not alone. So we were getting together, and we wanted to speak out against this, because it isn't going anywhere, because you've got people in Parliament like Harriet Hartman that have shown a bias towards paedophiles. You know, we have got people like Bishop Ball, who's best friends of Prince Charles, that have got the ear of Lord Carey, who's high up here, you know, in there. We've got people like Leon Britton that were child abusers, Lord Janner that was a child abuser, all high up. And then there's questions around, although he hasn't been convicted, but he was exposed as a man who likes rent boys, was Keith Vaz, who was in charge of the Home Affairs Select Committee, which is the sort of the arbiter of if there is any wrongdoing in government and in public, that they will put it right. So at every level, it's like being in this park. Everywhere we go, they've got their doorman, so we can't go anywhere. We're stuck. So the narrative of the victims remains within this park and doesn't get out.
Do you have a charity or foundation?
We've got a foundation, the John Wedger, JON WEDGER Foundation. We're in the process of setting up a non-profit making organisation. We are getting together people that give free legal advice regarding the family courts. We have got counsellors. We've got counsellors also that deal with satanic ritual abuse. We have got a terrific woman who is one of the leading art therapists, and she's got a doctorate from Oxford, so kids might draw pictures, for instance, you know, and they might give it to the other parent in the family visit, and then she can disseminate and sort of decipher what is being drawn.
So your charity is obviously growing, right?
Oh, it's massive, growing, yeah.
Where does it go from here for you personally? Where do you want it to go?
In terms
of everyone contributing?
Yeah, I want this to... The mainstream media, this is not on the mainstream media.
Yeah.
This is not being televised on the mainstream media, right? My friends just said this to me. Now, the media stay away from me. I'm not the only whistleblower. There are other police whistleblowers. There's another girl called Maggie. She gets the mainstream media with her. For some reason, they don't want to come near me. So we need the mainstream media. We need brave journalists that are willing to put the stories out. Unfortunately, they won't, so we're going to rely on alternative media, such as yourself and your channel, to put this story out. We need the Home Secretary to get on board and start questioning these police commissioners and police chief constables who have been part of the cover-up. And they've got to then start looking at the military intelligence organisations for their complicit nature and also proactive nature in silencing people. Because let's not forget, in order to silence, you need to serve people with D notices. D notices are defence notices, and they are the implement of the military intelligence, the MI5 and the MI6. So, you know, they are. So what we're seeing is these MI units, 5 and 6, which are there to protect the political and financial and economic stability of the UK. They are getting involved in silencing victims, survivors and whistleblowers of child abuse. Why? Do you know what we have to say? We have to say no more. No more. We should not be bowing down to this blatant corruption, you know. And you know, and let's get one thing. paedophilia. I'm not worried about what religion anyone is. I'm not worried about what social background they're from.
That's right.
I'm not worried about economic background, you know, and I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm saying is paedophilia knows no boundaries.
Sure.
It will be in every single religion. It will be on every single social strata. And the one thing we need to make this clear, this is the glue that keeps these perverts together, and it then enhances the silence.
It's quite interesting you say that, because obviously we come here every Sunday, and Speaker's Corner is, I'd say it's 90% religion based,
Yeah.
say 10% politics, but a subject that always gets brought up is grooming gangs.
Grooming gangs, yeah.
So that always gets brought up. So,
Yeah.
but it's actually, it's interesting that you said grooming. Would it fall under the same category as paedophilia, would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely,
So
without a doubt. Yeah, it's a sexual offence against a child.
And what you're saying is there's no boundaries.
There's no boundaries.
Good.
And the one thing when I speak out, I worked in London, which is the most diverse city in the world, and it's the most densely populated city in Western Europe. I never come across any what they call Muslim grooming gangs.
Right.
There were some Muslims that were abusing children. There were some Jews that were doing it. There was everyone that was doing it. You know, we're seeing more that's coming out in the northern provincial towns. But you know, I give this talk on this, and I say, well, if we are to look at demographics and say the history of grooming gangs or child prostitution, and we want to pick on races, let's start at the beginning. First, you know, as much as it was documented, you know, it was British society. We take like the Jack the Ripper, and children were used in prostitution, and then we take the children's homes, which were government run, you know, Christian children's homes, Catholic children's homes, Anglican children's homes were grooming kids. The Maltese were heavily involved in the 60s. They took over from the Italians. That led the way into the Windrush communities that were coming over. That led then into the Lithuanian and Latvian communities. That merged into the Albanian and the Kosovan communities. And then it's now going into the Bulgarian. Whenever ever a community comes, the first people that come there tend to be the gangsters to exploit. If you look at the Brits that went to Spain, who went to Spain? The likes of Freddie Foreman and all the gangsters, you know, and then now we go there on holiday. It was a Costa del Crime.
That's right.
So this is all it is. So what I think they're doing, they are enhancing on a microcosm and making out it's a macrocosm. It is not the reality that I dealt with, you know. You will get it in areas where there is a predominantly Kashmiri Pakistani, because they will be the predominant groups there. But if you went to St Paul's in Bristol, you're going to get Jamaicans that are probably doing it. If you went out to Stratford in the East End of London, you've got the Albanians and the Lithuanians that were doing it. So it's, and then the biggest ones were the religious institutions. And then you've got the government institutions like these approved school, which is what my man Darren's going on. So I think it's been unfairly enhanced on certain. You know, we can't dismiss it. If someone does bad, they do bad. You know, they need to be dealt with. But and then there's a lot of politics involved as well. So it was never my reality. That is my. But again, my colleague who worked in Rotherham, it was her, reality, because that's the area she was dealing with in Rotherham. So I'm not disputing it. But in London, no, it wasn't.
Sorry, going back to this whole corona thing, John.
Yeah.
Where does, especially the UK, I'm not dismissing any other country, but where does the UK go from here in terms of lockdowns and social distancing? Because there are people that are fearful, right?
They are fearful, but it's got into people's psyche now.
Yeah.
You walk down the street, they jump back like you got the plague.
It does say it takes 3 weeks for any new system to be implemented in.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if you look at military training, 3 months of basic training.
That's right.
And you've changed the person for forever.
Correct.
We've got 3 months of lockdown.
Yeah.
They're going to change the psyche of people forever. And they've seen, again, I'm not blaming the boys and girls wearing uniform here. They're doing their job and that's that. But it's higher up. They know that they have had the world. They must be laughing at us. Laughing at the fact. Look, just a minute ago, it's calmed down a bit. We had maybe 30, 35, 40 police go steaming up there. They were all within feet of each other. Not one of them had a mask. And they've all come on minibuses, which are enclosed environment. Not one mask. So there's no consistency here. And I just think it is getting ingrained so much in the psyche of people And what they're going to say now is, okay, we're back to normal, but it could still be there. It could still be there.
They talk about this like second spike.
Yeah. And it could come back at any time, and we're all going to die. And you know, I can't go and see my granddaughter. I mean, so it's illegal now for me to go and see my, you know, just thinking, how have we got like this? What has happened? What has happened to this proud race that they have fallen, in my ideas, for the con?
Yeah, I think can you blame people? Because obviously we're consumed by fear. What you
of course not. You know, and again, you look at soap operas, all it is about drama. It's a need for drama and a crisis, and people think that they're going to die, and they're living a drama, and you know.
So
but
about all these other sort of, in inverted commas, we call them conspiracies like 5G.
Well, again, you know, there's people like Mark Steele that give good evidence about 5G, the fact that it is incredibly detrimental. I remember years ago a farmer saying to me, look at pylons, you know, high voltage pylons that were over you know, a wooded area, and he said the oak trees die. So there's always been this radiation that has always caused, and of course, you know, if you hold this thing too near to your head, it hurts your ear. So I don't think it's good, and I think it's probably going to be an incredibly bad thing, you know. And I have listened to reason, and I think there is no need for it. But people have got a need for downloading quick, and then they'll say, well, if hospitals get it, then they can download information quick. So they always put the guilt on us. I think it's a very bad thing. I'd rather it weren't now. And of course 5G went in as a key worker thing. So these towers were going up and were being maintained during the start of this lockdown.
So obviously we've got, what is it, another 3 weeks they've said?
Well, I think it's a phase. You know.
Yes, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just below phase 3.
God knows what we are. But again, part of the British culture was the pub, the public house, where people would meet, chat, have a drink, you know, and whatnot. I can't see these independent ones ever coming back, you know. And it's just, I mean, even now we're watching Friends, and we've just seen two friends. Sorry, I'm just going to decline that because keep going. I've just seen two friends sitting on the lawn, so far apart, and just thinking. It's just so ingrained in people now. I think the damage is done, and I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I smell a rat with this, and it's taken the focus on a personal level away from what we as a big community were doing against child abuse. No one's interested anymore. It's gone dead.
This is consumed.
Oh, it's consumed everything. You know, it's just. I just don't get it. I really don't get it.
Like you said, it's so ingrained in us. It's not like, you know, when he says there's different phases, it's going to take a long time for it to be. Not even close to being back to normal in terms of people feeling comfortable being next to each other.
Of course, they're not going to. They're not going to do it. You know, I mean, look, I've grown up and we grew up through the fear of nuclear war. Right, the Russians were going to kill us. We were shown videos of people in Russia queuing for bread. Right, they said they're starving in Russia. I went out there and I spoke to some of them. Every person. I went to Lithuania. Every person I see, they were my age. They were hench. And I said, we were showing videos of you starving. They said, but we were showing videos of you lot the same. It was all propaganda. It was all a lie. The Russians, you know, when they say let's talk about what's the word for it? Xenophobia. Right? Whenever a culture comes, they're going to thieve. They're going to rob. They said the Lithuanians are the biggest fraudsters in Europe. You know, they're going to defraud our currency. Yeah, they didn't. They came and worked hard. Romanians, what a hard time they got. They're a gypsy race. They're going to steal children. They come here and they've been the best builders and bricklayers we've ever had. It's just pure racism that they're installing on us, fear all the time. And then, of course, we had acid rain. Acid rain was meant to destroy all the forests in Scandinavia. They said they'll be gone, and they'll erode all the sandstone and soft stone like marble structures. It never happened. It never happened. Then AIDS was going to kill us all, and then this was going to kill us all, and then this was going to, you know, and of course now we've got this. So if we go on a track record of bullshit, then we're just getting another phase of bullshit. Oh, bike down.
And obviously going forward, like I said, I know we're getting phased, but where do we go going forward?
I just don't know. I don't know, because I've been told I can't do my protest. There's some girls turned up. They said we were down there and
for your foundation?
Yeah. Well, we were having. It was a beach home survivor. It was a children's home set it up, and we started getting tens of thousands of interest for an anti-child abuse protest. They've shut that down, so we couldn't do that. So where do we go from here? The police have told me they're monitoring my website. I don't care, that's a good thing. I will always interact with the police. I will not go against them. I've lived under corruption, high-level corruption of the police. There's no conspiracy here. They will go out their way to silence you, and they will use every hi chaps, all right, every weapon that they can to sort of you know, denigrate you and all that. How are you, my friend? So, all right, yeah, we're just doing a live.
Oh,
So,
yeah, Steve-o.
hello, Steve. Is it? Oh, I see. Hello, my friend. But you know, so what we need is a platform back again. I'm using this period of time on lockdown to podcast as much as possible, to interview as many victims and survivors of child abuse as possible, or anyone who's had any connections, such as social workers. Hello, my man. All right. Such as social workers, such as police officers, if they want to come forward, which on the whole they don't. You know, local government. There was a guy there that was from youth services, said, you know, how corrupt it was. You know, so I'm doing as much as I can to use this while people, we've got their attention, while they are in their little rabbit hutches, to plough the message in.
Why is it like that? Why is it that you're, because I'd say 100% of any human would disagree with child abuse, right?
Of course, yeah.
So why is it, because it sounds
And
like
every religion.
yeah, but yeah, in every religion, it sounds like your foundation gets silenced. Why?
Because we get heavily trolled.
For what reason?
I don't know.
You're
Well,
stopping- you're
well,
trying to
what we're
stop-
saying is we get attacked by paedophiles and paedophile protectors. So paedophiles don't want me speaking out. They don't want me speaking out. They don't want me doing it. I speak out against Satanism,
Right.
because I get a lot of victims of Satanism that speak out. So there is a satanic agenda to silence me. There are a lot of people with a lot of guilty consciences that don't want me succeeding. If I succeed in what I want to do, there's going to be a lot of problems, and there's going to be a lot of government problems and things like that. And the information that's been given to me, there's some of it I can't pull out there because it will silence me and probably imprison me, and maybe put my life at risk. I don't know. Who knows how this works? But I have been in fear of my life in the past. But all I say is my fear is nothing compared to the fear of a child. So I will use every method, but I will also use my intelligence over my heart sometimes when I do stuff. We can all steam in, but if you steam in, you can't be doing this. They'll outspo you. So that's why you are consistently here, because you're using your intelligence to do what you need to do, you know?
Well, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Where
Oh,
do
no.
people find you?
John WEDGER Foundation, JON WEDGER Foundation. I'm on, I've got a YouTube channel, but it's, the person that was uploading stuff has stopped doing it, so I've got someone else doing it now, so we're a bit behind. But on Facebook, and then of course there's podcasts like Sean English, and James English, and Sean Atwoods, and yeah, them,
And Sean Atwood,
yeah, that's about it, you know. So them two boys, you know, have done a lot of good, and they are, we're sharing people. So if someone comes to me, they then go on to Sean Atwood's channel, and they're guaranteed sometimes 1 million hits, you know, and this is what we do. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I've seen you, you know, before up here,
If
and
you ever get an opportunity when the lockdown's over,
Yeah.
we're here every Sunday, Speaker's Corner.
yeah.
I'm sure it'll be people will be interested in your views as well. Especially, like I said, it's quite it's spoken about regularly about grooming.
Grooming,
and
of
things like
course,
that.
yeah.
And always, it constantly goes back to a religious.
Yeah. It's not.
But it'd be good to understand from someone who's experienced that it's not.
It's not religion.
Yeah.
The Muslims don't want to do that to their children. There is no way they do. One of the guys who works for us, he's a top psychologist, he's a Muslim, and we discussed this, and I said to him, Ali, what is the Islamic State? He said, no way, John, no way, you know, and this is it. But this is what they've done. They've demonised, you know, a religion, a race in doing this, and it's wrong, it's inaccurate. You know, our enemy is a paedophile, not the Mason, not the Jew, not the Catholic, not the Protestant, not the Muslim, not anyone else. It's a paedophile, you know, and they're dangerous. So,
Thanks, John.
God bless.
Good man, God bless.
Thank you. Cheers.